Okay, so we are all set to begin. A very good morning to everyone present. I, Simran, and also on behalf of my co-mediator, extend a very warm welcome to you all in today's session, which is your mediation. We sincerely hope that you and your families are keeping safe in these unprecedented tough times. Well, let me first start off by acknowledging the fact that we do understand there have been certain instances in the past which have led to this day. But the fact that both the parties are looking forward to a fruitful discussion by actually resorting to an amicable way of dispute resolution is something I would like to congratulate both the parties for, because this is indeed a very good start. Also, thank you so much for investing your faith in the mediation process and choosing it. It is now very important to acclimatize and familiarize ourselves with one another for the better functioning of the session in the later part. So let me first begin with introducing myself. My name is Simran Jha, one of your mediators for today, and you can go about addressing me as either Miss Simran or Miss Mediator, whichever way you're comfortable with. I also have my co-mediator, Miss Benitha, and you can go about addressing her in the same way, either Miss Benitha or Miss Mediator. I now have a very pertinent question to ask, specifically directed towards both the councils. Kindly pay attention to it. So my question is, can we, the mediators in today's session, directly talk to your clients, or should our conversations flow from your side?
Madam Mediator, from our side, you are allowed to talk to our clients directly.
Thank you.
Yes, the same for me. I'm only here to answer legal questions, so feel free to speak freely with my client as well.
Thank you, much obliged. May I now request both the parties and along with their counsels to kindly provide a brief introduction of themselves as to what are their names and how do they expect everybody else to address them in the session today. Maybe we can begin with Mr. Whichever way you like.
Sure, I can start. My name is Charlie Broker, and I am the franchisee owner of Pizza Rama. I am very thankful to the company for coming to mediation today. I'm hoping that we are able to work out anything going forward so that not only can I have a successful business under your name, but also to benefit the employees of the company. Thank you very much.
My name is Clements Berkeley. You can refer to me just as Clements, and I am the counsel for Ms. Brooker.
Hello, everyone. I am Erica Bastinelli, the Managing Director of Pizza Rama, and I also want to mention that I have the complete authority to make any decisions on behalf of Pizza Rama today. You may call me Erica.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sandy Shaw. I'm the in-house for Pizza Rama, and please feel free to address me as Sandy.
Thank you, Mr. Charlie, Ms. Erica, and counsel for Mr. Charlie and Ms. Erica. Much obliged. So now, I hope that you all have gone through the agreement to mediate, which has already been mailed to you on your respective mail IDs that were provided to us. So if not done yet, kindly review it. You still have time, and you may want to seek your counsel's advice over the same. So an agreement to mediate is basically a document which tells you most, if not all, of what we, the mediators, will be telling you in our opening statements. It will tell you about your rights and entitlements, what to expect. It also states that both the parties, that is Mr. Eric, Miss Erica, and Mr. Charlie, has agreed to pay the fees immediately at the end of the session, and in case of multiple sessions, and at the end of each session. Also, we do understand that you have a life outside this mediation as well, and we would never want you to jeopardize on anything important which is going on in your life. So please do let us know in case of any time constraints or limitations that we must be aware of in order to bring us up to speed.
I do not have any time constraints.
We do not either. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're glad to know that both the parties have approached the session by designating considerable time. That is indeed a very good start. So let me now begin with the part what we mediators call an opening statement. An opening statement will tell you about your rights and entitlements, what to expect, and what will occur here, so as to give you a heads up as to what to anticipate in this your mediation. Once we, the mediators, are done with our opening statements, we would like to hear an uninterrupted opening statements from your side. I request you, please let us know what you think we should know so that we can be as effective as possible in helping you make the most out of this session. As far as who makes your uninterrupted opening statement is concerned, we leave that completely up to you. I mean, I'm sure that I and also my co-mediator would want to hear it just the way you would like to make it. Let me also assure you that your opening statements will be absolutely uninterrupted. However, we as mediators will be taking notes and might just stop you in between just to make sure that whatever we are taking down is accurate enough. Also, since it is a time-bound session, we as the facilitators of the session consider it our prime duty to let you know of whatever the time is going on so that you do not miss out on anything important. Also, once we are done with the opening statements, we'll also further go about the further procedure, which my co-mediator will intimate you about. Now let me come down to one of the most pertinent aspects of the opening statement, which is acquainting the parties with the rights and entitlements that they have in today's session. So first off is the Confidentiality Clause, which states that whatever we are going to discuss in today's session, none of it will be discussed with anybody under any circumstance. Likewise, we also expect the parties to kindly adhere to the same and kindly limit the discussion, whatever we are going to have in today's session, to the loop of the 6 people only. Apart from that, this is a voluntary process, which means if you feel that this process is not meeting your needs, you may want to leave it at any time. I also believe that you understand if you've been ordered here, you are required to act in good faith, and I'm sure you will do that. Also, we as mediators might have a perspective which may be helpful for you in order to make a decision, so that whatever decision you make is with all available information. Please note that whatever we'll be suggesting today is only an invitation for you to consider and nothing more. Apart from that, today in the session, you are entitled to a neutral party, that is we, the mediators, I, along with my co-mediator. We believe that we must not just say that we are neutrals, we must prove it. So let me first begin by saying that I, and neither does my co-mediator, has met any one of you, either the parties or their counsels before in the past. May I now first ask Mr. Charlie if you have met any of us before, or have any of the acquaintances?
Aside from my counsel, I have not.
Ms. Erika, would you want to comment on this?
Me as well. Aside from my counsel, I've not met anybody else.
Thank you so much. So I think I have clearly laid down the rights and entitlements that we have in today's session. I would now request my co-mediator to kindly proceed and acquaint the parties with how we will be going about in the session to come. Ms. Mediator, could you please unmute yourself?
I apologize for that. Thank you, Simran. That was such a delightful and warm welcome from your part for myself, and I hope for the parties also. So I'm really glad that the parties have chosen this mediation process, and we both mediators hope that both parties will reach into an amicable settlement. And we want to reassure that we are here to listen to. So just feel free to speak put the piece of issues you are facing before this session, and if you have any clarification, just feel free to ask, because obviously we will be clarifying that when we will move on with the session. And as my co-mediator mentioned, this is a voluntary process. Both the parties are here on their own accord, and we will be in charge of the process, but both the parties will be in charge of the full content. And as said, we will be put forthing our perspective, like we will be butting only if both parties can reach into a proper settlement, and both the parties are just stuck up with whatever agenda the parties putting forward. So I would just like to acquaint both the parties with the process, how this mediation session will be going on. Both parties will have to begin with their opening statement, and they have to stick into the 4 minutes. And in the opening statement, they have to give a factual introduction as well as whatever agendas they are setting up, the solution they are looking forward, and negotiating on the agendas that has been setting up and on the solutions. Then after the opening statements, if the both parties agreed upon our common agendas and on a common solution, we will be drafting it and writing it down and formalizing in the way that the both parties agree upon. And we make sure that this will be a completely confidential process, And whatever you say here, so here, that every concession admission and whatever solution you put forth will not be disclosed anywhere. If you don't set it here, or if you take it before the court, it won't be disclosed over there, that it will be completely destroyed. And also the both parties can call for a private caucus if the council feel that the parties have something to share with us that they can't share with among others, and we will make sure that it will be extra confidential. We won't be share whatever you parties will be discussing in the private session without your absolute consent and confidence. So I hope that the parties are clear with the procedures. The parties have any clarification with the procedures that you're following up with during the entire session?
No, it's clear for me.
Okay. Simran, do you have anything to add upon the procedures, or I think I can invite the party to have their opening statement?
We can definitely begin with the opening statement of the parties. I feel that you were very elucidative in your part.
Thank you, Simran. So I invite, like, as this is a joint mediation session, I think that if the both parties agrees, I can request Charlie Brooker to have their opening statement with the both parties. They can signify by nodding, just by nodding your head. I can understand every time you just say yes or no. It will difficult to unmute. So just signify by nodding your head if the parties are okay doing. Yeah, thank you for the response. So Charlie Brooker can take up on the stage and speak about the give a factual introduction and the opening statement.
Yes, I can start. Thank you to both our mediators for being here and welcoming us into this inviting space. I believe mediation is a very helpful tool, and I feel very strongly that for both parties that this can be worked out in a mediation setting. Let me start by, again, my name is Clemens Berkeley and I am the counsel for Ms. Charlie Brooker. And today we are here as Ms. Brooker has been here for 5.5 years with Pizza Rama, and I will let her go into most of the topics about how her experience has been with Pizza Rama, her business, how successful it's been. But I did want to first talk about the devastating impact of COVID-19 that it had on everybody, on Pizza Rama, on small businesses, on large businesses. Everybody had an impact with COVID-19, I believe, and we feel that the contract between Charlie and Pizza Rama could potentially be a force majeure case if gone to the courts. So we really want to work out an equitable deal that works for both parties in terms of the payback options, of the franchise fee, as well as potential PR campaigns that we can run collectively to better enhance our marketing on the way out of the pandemic. But with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Brooker to talk about all of her Pizza Rama experience.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that, of course, I absolutely love being a franchisee for Pizza Rama. It is my business. I feel as though the company is one in my own. I've been here for 5.5 years with you, and I very much so plan to go forward in the future, especially if we can settle today with some agreements that we're both happy with. But the most important thing for me really is my duty of care to my employees, because for me, my business isn't just about money, it's about my employees, who are very much like my family. And everything that I have done has been to ensure the success of the business and the success of my employees, both financially and trying to keep everybody on a good track during the pandemic. So I am more than willing to admit to my own wrongs in regards to the contract, and I am more than willing to enter discussions in how we can rectify those wrongs. But with that being said, the most important thing I'd like to keep in mind today would be the effect on my employees and the effect on my business going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the council and Charlie Brooker, for the opening statement. So I'd like to just give a quick summary about what the council and the client has been put forward. So this Charlie Brooker has been very badly impacted by this COVID-19, which was an unforeseeable incident, and they would like to get a solution and negotiation upon paying back of the franchise, and the employees also admit that they had violated one of the contractual obligation they have to follow up, and they are also ready to work on rectifying it. Did I misstated or missed out anything? If I misstated or missed out anything, council or the council, the party can feel free to add over or rectify it. If I didn't miss out,
I think that was a very good summary.
Thank you.
I think we can begin with our opening statement of the other party.
May I now request Ms. Erica to kindly provide her with her opening statement, and if she could also brief us out on the agendas that she's looking for in the today's session.
Yes, firstly, thank you, mediators, for inviting me today. So, hello, everyone. As I mentioned, I'm Erica, and I'm the Managing Director of Rama. So, firstly, thank you, mediators, for explaining the process of mediation so thoroughly. This is the first time I'm in a mediation, and even though my counsel had briefed me with the process, now any remaining concerns in my mind are also cleared. I hope everyone is keeping happy in these unprecedented times. Charlie, even though our negotiations didn't take place in the manner we expected, I'm sure we will be able to resolve our dispute amicably with the help of the mediators and our counsels present today. Before we begin, I would just like to briefly talk about Rama. Rama is my dream project, and I started it from scratch, and I want to see it flourish. We are a pizza brand which franchise our activities for a monthly fee in return for the ingredients and recipes, and allow them to benefit from our brand's marketing. These fees are also increased biannually. Further, the outlets are only allowed to sell approved menu items. We do not allow for any violations in these rules, and they are specifically mentioned in our contracts as well. Charlie also owns one such franchise of Rama, as he mentioned. Charlie, you are one of our most trusted franchisees, and we have been working together for more than 5 years. You have always made timely payments before this unprecedented crisis. Let me assure you that I really admire your work ethic, but there are a few things I really need to talk about today. Due to the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, the government imposed various restrictions on the running of restaurants, and this resulted in a great reduction in customer footfall in various outlets of Rama. For the last 12 months, we have not received any payments from you, and the dues have gone over 12 lakhs. Moreover, Charlie has been selling an unapproved pizza by the name of Freedom Day Pizza, which is against our policy. We also feel that you have not taken all the possible steps to minimize your costs. Charlie, as per the contract, we have the right to terminate your outlet in breach of the contractual obligations, but we understand your situation, and thus we have even offered to waive 4 lakhs of the amount which was due, which we feel is more than reasonable. But you need to understand that we do need money to meet our ongoing costs. We are looking forward to continue this relationship, and thus we also have some proposals for you. I hope we will be able to discuss our situation in a peaceful manner and resolve our dispute amicably. I will now ask my counsel to take over.
Sure. Thank you, Erica. So, hello, everyone. First of all, before I begin with my opening statement, I would like to say thank you to the mediators and commend them for explaining the process so well. I have been in various mediations, but this is the first time where I heard an opening statement so crisply and the whole procedure so smoothly. Coming to the point, as I stated before, I'm Sandy Shop, the in-house counsel of Rama, and I'm here purely in an advisory capacity. Ms. Erica has the sole authority to take decision on behalf of Rama. As Erica mentioned, we do understand the situation in which Charlie is in, and we also offered her certain relaxations, including waiving the fee of 4 lakhs. Also, my client is willing to negotiate and discuss how can we minimize the cost and how can we, reduce the burden on Charlie as much as possible. Moreover, we have to make sure that we, unlike our negotiation session, we don't, end it in a bad way and we reach to a consensus. I really hope that mediators are there to help us, and I know they will help us out to make sure and facilitate the process smoothly. Coming to the point, the reason why we are here and the few concerns which we have right now. First of all, being the Freedom Day pizza. The second concern which Erica would like to discuss is payment of dues. And lastly, which she would like to discuss is hike and fee. Charlie, since it's a confidential session, please feel free to convey anything which you want to. And we will make sure that we understand and we hear all your needs, all your concerns and queries. With this, I would like to say thank you to the mediators and thank you to Charlie and Clement for agreeing to this session. And I would pass the mic to mediators. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Erica and Counsel for Ms. Erica. So before proceeding further, let me quickly summarize it and let me know if there are any rectifications required whatsoever. Ms. Erica has briefly provided us a background of the case. Thank you so much for that. She is the MD of Pizza Rama, which is flourishing over the years. This is a franchising business wherein different independent outlets come and Pizza Rama provides them with their franchisee, and that's how it begins. So she has also told us that it is a dream project and she has worked really hard and we really commend you on that. Apart from that, she has also told us that she is very much interested in the reconciliation of the matter with Mr. Charlie, which again, I would want to congratulate both the parties for, because that's what the same intention appears to be from Mr. Charlie as well. Apart from that, we were highlighted upon the agenda that basically Mr. Charlie and Ms. Erica and Counsel for Ms. Erica is looking for. Firstly, they want to talk about the dispute regarding Freedom Day Pizza, as Ms. Erica has very briefly told us that there is a policy that only those pizzas will be sold which are approved by the Pizza Rama, and Freedom Day Pizza happens to be not approved by Pizza Rama. Am I right?
Yes, Madam Mediator.
All right. Apart from that, they want to talk about the dues which Mr. Charlie has failed to pay for the preceding 12 months. And they would also want to talk about the hike. There was a very good point highlighted by Counsel for Ms. Erica that they are ready to talk about and negotiate upon how the costs can be minimized. I think it would be a great relaxation to Mr. Charlie. So that was all about my summarization and the agendas that I could have understand. Please let me know if there's anything else that I need to add.
No, Madam Mediator, but before we begin with our session, there are a few questions which Charlie would like to be addressed by Ms. Erica or her counsel. So if we can ask them.
Please, this is your process. You may begin.
Erica, please.
Yes. So Charlie, I understand that your outlet has not been in working for a majority of the last 12 months. So I actually wanted to ask if you offer home deliveries or perhaps takeaways from your outlet.
Absolutely. So it is a pop-up stand on High Street, as you know. So it is very much busy with foot traffic. So with the pandemic, we have moved towards doing delivery options as well, but that would be all the information that I have on that at the moment.
That's all right. So another question is, why did you not make use of the furlough scheme which was provided by the government, considering that it would have been a great way to actually minimize your costs?
Certainly. I'm more than happy to speak to that. The scheme that was put forward by the government, although it was helpful for some businesses, being that I only have 5 employees in my store, and these employees have dedicated their full career in hospitality towards this chain, I felt as though laying them off temporarily and the months they would need to wait in order for them to actually get the money to pay their bills, most of them would then go into debt and have a very, very hard situation. So due to the lack of support from the company during the pandemic, the fact that we were never reached out to with safeguards to help us in this crisis, the fact that no care was shown for how the employees were to pay their next bill as the pandemic came on so quickly, we had less than a week's notice before we had to completely shut down the store from full capacity. With that being said, I made the choice that for my duty of care to my employees and for the well-being of my employees that I hope to come back to when the store is able to open to full capacity, to keep them on, even though most were willing to take a 50% cut in their wages. So I was able to save quite a bit on wages without compromising my employees and their ability to live off of their wage.
All right, I hear you and I completely understand your situation. And we will surely get back to this point. But just before that, I want to just ask my last question. What is the kind of the demand that is prevalent for the Freedom Day pizza? And why have you continued to sell it despite multiple restrictions?
Certainly. Well, I appreciate that the contract does restrict us from selling unauthorized pizzas. I would like to assure you that the pizza is absolutely to standard, using the ingredients provided by your company, using the methods of cooking, of decorating pizzas provided by your company. So it is very much in line with the standards that you ask for. But with that, like I had said, with the lack of support from the company, we were forced to go ahead and make creative ways for us to make more income. And that was just simply to make sure that we were able to survive. So with the fact that the company did not put forward any new marketing to try and help with foot traffic, the fact that we were not able to really take any freedoms in many ways, we felt that this was the most reasonable, using your ingredients and making sure the pizza was up to standard, to also allow us the ability to market so that we could make money for both the employees and the company. And I also believe my counsel has a point.
My point was mainly on the government furlough. I just wanted to make a substantial point that Miss Charlie did seek my advice on that. And in that, I heard a lot of her talking about how her employees were family, that she didn't want them to be devastated. So with Miss Brooker, we did work out the 50% wage cut. So that was the only point that I had.
Thank you.
Before that, I'd just like to address one of the points raised by Ms. Charlie. Ms. Charlie clearly mentioned that the company didn't help, but let me assure you that Pizza Rama, and I'm the legal counsel here, so I can see that Pizza Rama was actually dealing with its own situations, and most of our outlets were closed, and we were dealing with the financial crunches on our own. I think Erica is in a better position to elaborate this point further. Erica?
Yes, Charlie, as you mentioned multiple times that you did not receive as much help as you expected from Pizza Rama, but you need to understand that we too were facing the same unexpected crisis, and we all were suffering through the same losses as you made. Not only your outlet, but Pizza Rama had to deal with multiple other outlets who had the same problems and could not pay their dues timely, and thus we too had a major loss from our ongoing cash flows. So we are here again to make amends, and we really hope that we can take this process forward in a more positive way, and that we can discuss all the issues we have in great depth. So I actually just wanted to clarify one thing. So you stated that you had started the Freedom Day Pizza to increase your income. So was it actually beneficial, and did your income increase? Was there a great demand for it?
So just to address the first statement before going into that, I did just want to say that my point in emphasizing the lack of support is that I would like us to enter this mediation with the understanding that although at base level it may look like I went against my duty in order to pay fees towards your company, I'd like to enter on an even playing field, understanding that not only did I fail on my duties, but also the support and the lack of support, I should say, was exactly that coming from the company. So the situation that we're in today was very much so a matter of miscommunication and a need for further communication going forward. So that would be a point that I would like to add to the agenda if possible, to go forward and make sure that we do have that joint communication actually written down and scheduled out. And moving on,
I want to come in over here. I heard Ms. Charlie saying that she was not able to, for some reason, put up her agendas. May I now ask her that if she wants to state her agendas, or are we clear through the questioning round? Because I heard Ms. Charlie saying that she was very compassionate on the ground that though she had the option of subsidizing through the folder scheme, but still she went ahead and she cared about her employees and did not go with the option when she even had it. Apart from that, she is saying that there was lack of support from the company, that is Pizzarama. And apart from that, she's saying that not a lot of help was received from the Pizzarama company. So far, I've been able to make out that these are possibly your agendas. So I will allow you if you really want to add on something to it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy to clarify the agenda. So most of our points are very similar to what was listed already for the agenda, which is great. The only thing that we really would like to add is the ideology of a possible joint PR, which I'm about to pitch if possible when talking about the Freedom Day pizza. And then of course the scheduled communication to ensure that we don't have these miscommunications going forward. Those would be the only added points to the current agenda if possible.
Ms. Mediator, is there anything that you would want to seek clarification upon?
I think the both parties agree upon that they have some right time and with Freedom Point visa, which has been scheme which has been followed by this Charlie brokers. So I think we can further negotiate upon the same thing if the both parties agrees upon, or we can just or with the payback. How would you like to prioritize it? Like if the parties are okay, we can just start negotiating by this PR of Freedom Joint Visa. And
yeah, is it if possible, just so I'm able to give you the full information before we start negotiating the joint PR, I do want to let you know that we have had absolute success with this pizza, and that is why I feel that it would not only be beneficial for our company to continue making this pizza, but also the possibility of you guys adopting this pizza and using it in other chains as well. I think it can definitely be a benefit for myself and other franchisee holders, which overall would help yourself in the crisis that you were talking about the company facing at an executive level. So as I said, this pizza did bring in good revenue. We did see a newer clientele coming in. So clientele that we maybe didn't see coming in before. So I do think that that may be an opportunity for our store to be featured in a joint PR. And that would not only allow us better foot traffic, but again, a new campaign to help advertising all stores.
Just to chip in here, I would love to start the negotiation. I would love to hear more about your PR, but there are a few clarifications which we need to make here urgently. So first of all, Ms. Charlie, you claim that we didn't provide any support, but as far as my understanding goes, Ms. Erika did give a concession of 4 lakhs, despite the financial crunches facing of her own. And second point, you mentioned some executive level problem. If you can clarify it, because we didn't mention anything regarding that. So.
Sure. So the lack of support was more so the fact that when the pandemic first started, we were offered no support in the sense of direction of what to do, of guidance on how to go forward, and on guidance of how the company wanted us to go forward with our business, how to make sure our business stayed afloat. And that is the exact reason. The lack of communication was the exact reason that we did have to take liberties against the contract to make sure that our business flourished. And in relation to the issues at the executive level, I was referencing to in the opening statement where I was asked to take into consideration the fact that the pandemic also affected the company at the higher level as well. So that was the issue that I was talking about, was just the overall impact of the pandemic. Sorry to just to clarify.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Charlie, for addressing my queries. So what I understood is the main problem here is the company didn't provide any directions to you, right? And second of all, if I can just clarify, Erika, please feel free to correct me, but if I can just clarify Erika's statement, it was more like the financial crunches which even the executive are facing. Erika, is there anything which you would want to add here before we begin with the main part?
Ms. Erika, I would also request you to kindly touch upon the proposal that was proposed by Mr. Charlie, that they would want you to consider their Freedom Day pizza, stating that since it is meeting their requirements and it could act as a joint PR. So I would really appreciate if you could also comment on that proposal.
Definitely, Madam Mediator. So firstly, no, Sandy, I think that we should look at this head straight now. So, and Madam Mediator, to answer your question, Charlie, I hear your proposal about a joint PR. And that was also one of the reasons we were so interested in the Freedom Day Pizza, and we were asking you about the Freedom Day Pizza's revenue and perhaps the sales from it. So yes, we do look interested in collaborating for a joint PR, and we would love to hear what you have to say about it. But please do remember that just because we trust you and your business instincts, that we are willing to take this ahead. We would usually not allow this with any other outlet, but you have been a very profitable outlet for us, and we would genuinely love to hear your business idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just take 1 minute here and I'll pass it to Charlie. So I think it would be very helpful if we start with an agenda, because I feel as though we're bridging the financials and the communication. So if we're going to start with the communication, then we'll do that and then go to the finances. I feel like there's a little bit of an overlap, which may start to confuse my client. But right before, right before Charlie begins with the joint PR statement, I did just want to state that she was feeling very frustrated with the company because there was not that communication, and the marketing coming out of the pandemic wasn't mainly directed at footfall coming into her business. So she began the Freedom Day Pizza, and I told her to be the change she wanted to be. So she started this Freedom Day Pizza, although not approved by the head company. She began this to attempt to increase footfall to make payments, but I will let her go into that a little bit more and talk about where she can help you and where it can go the other way as well.
Absolutely. Mediators, if I could ask, would it be okay to clarify the agenda so I know what point is best to start on?
Ms. Mediator, would you like to take that?
Yes, I would like to say that first it would be better if both parties can put for the agendas of schedule and communication, because there is a lack of communication when these all events were happening. Then we will move on to this PR of Freedom Joint Pizza. Is that fine? Because the both parties agree upon.
Yeah, I think we're very content to begin with the Freedom Day Pizza and the marketing, and then moving on to the financial discussion about the paying back and then the increasing to 2.2 lakhs in August.
If I may just intervene here, so we would actually like to discuss the payment of dues more promptly, because that is one of our major concerns right now. So if we could maybe keep the Freedom Day Pizza point in brief and the joint PR in brief, and first talk about the payment of dues which are yet to be made.
Both the parties agree upon the
If-
payment paid back of the. Please.
Sorry. If I'm able to further clarify, would you be comfortable starting on the point of the increased wage before starting on the point of repaying the already owed lakhs? Asking mainly because going forward, the payments that will need to be made will very much affect what I can pay with what is owed respectively.
Yes, definitely. We can club both the agendas together and maybe perhaps figure out a better arrangement for the payments.
Lovely, thank you.
So here I would like to make a small proposal. I think we tend to have found a common ground. Both the parties have agreed to discuss upon two agendas. First one being the financial aspect that is related to the hike, and second one being the inclusion of Freedom Day Pizza into the main menu of Rama brand. So how about if there's anything that the client would want to tell us in person, that is in Mediators, maybe they are not comfortable to talk about it in front of the other party. So how about we go about proceeding a caucus session with one party each at a time?
Madam Mediator, if you do not mind, can we first just hear what kind of a financial state they are in and how many payments they can make? Then perhaps we can discuss something with you in private after we've heard their side of it.
Sure. I would request Ms. Charlie to kindly comment on this.
Yeah, I'm more than comfortable to begin discussions on finance right before our caucus.
So, Ms. Erica, could we please begin with the caucus, as she does not find herself comfortable enough in disclosing the figure that
I was saying that yes, I am comfortable talking about finance before caucus.
Okay. So are there any questions that you would want to discuss upon each other before we proceed with the caucus session? You may
No,
be.
Madam Mediator.
So if I may just start here. So Charlie, as you know, that your pending payment right now is 12 lakhs. But we have already agreed to waiver 4 lakhs from the initial 12 lakhs spending amount, and your final payment due is now 8 lakhs. And the increase in fee hike, which was supposed to happen from next month, is supposed to be raised to 2.2 lakhs. Now, this is our standard procedure, and this was mentioned in our contract as well. But I do understand that we are facing an unprecedented crisis and that you will have some concerns about it. So what would you propose that your pending fee payment be, and what you would like in the hike?
Certainly, thank you. So I would first like to start with the hike that's up and coming. With that being said, I do feel as though when the contract was formed, there was no consideration for the fact that we would be in a global pandemic. And while I can understand completely that there is no way that you would have known, I think that this does bring a very big aspect to what we need to look at going forward. I do not think that it's reasonable to be raising the price when we are barely making ends meet with the current price, as you can see. Now, with the fact that that business will be soon getting back to normal if we are able to go ahead with that, I think it's more than reasonable in 6 months to possibly reevaluate. But what I would ask is that we push back the date by 6 months and come back to mediation. And for now, keep it at 2 lakhs per month. Coming back to mediation in 6 months and look at the business's finances to see if we are either equal to or higher than we were when the pandemic first started. And I think that would, in a fair way, be reasonable to see whether or not that increase would be able to be paid without negatively affecting both my employees and my franchisee.
Yes, Charlie, I completely hear you. But my first question is that the pending 12 months payment has also not been made when the fee was still kept at 2 lakhs. Are you sure that in the coming 6 months, if the fee is still kept at 2 lakhs, the payments would be made on time?
That being said, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Zach.
I was just going to comment that, sorry, my throat's having a few issues, but no, I did want to jump in and say that this is a point that Ms. Brooker and I have talked extensively about, and she, although we are not in a position to pay all 8 lakhs up front, I believe with the increased foot traffic that will be coming now that we're starting to see the other side of the pandemic, and potentially with a new marketing campaign to increase foot traffic, that moving through the next 6 months, we can both pay off the existing and continue with the payments from now. But I don't know if Ms. Brooker wants to outline any of the payment plan that we've talked about.
Absolutely. So with that being said, I do believe that if we do go forward, and I know this is a later point in the agenda, but if we do go forward with the Freedom Day Pizza, because it has been such a success, and especially if we are able to push PR towards my store specifically, I think that we would have no issue paying those 2 lakhs per month going forward. With that being said, again, if you are content to renegotiate in around 6 months and evaluate where the business is at, we would like to look at the possibility of a payment plan going forward for those owing 8 lakhs to ensure that we are able to get back on track within that 6-month period. Would that be something you're okay with outlining?
So Ms. Charlie, before we can address to that, can you just explain how are you going to make the whole payment? Is it gonna be like some amount upfront and then How much are you going to pay us upfront? If you can clarify us that, it would be grateful.
Absolutely.
No, sorry. Yeah.
No problem. So right now I am able to pay 4 lakhs upfront, so half of the owing amount. And then going forward, I would be able to pay 0.5 per month on top of the regular franchisee fee. That's an estimate based on my current business, and that would be an estimate with the current traffic that we have. So this obviously, I'm hoping to be flexible, just because if, for example, the pandemic does come to a rise again, this may become an issue again, and I want that communication to be clear. But that being said, I do think that I am very confident that if the business stays as it is now, that we would be able to work towards paying that back in about 8 months' time.
So if I may just clarify one point here. So the 4 lakh upfront payment plus 0.5 lakh per month and plus the 2 lakhs per month, which is already settled. So 4 lakhs this right now and 2.5 lakhs per month going ahead for the next 8 months.
Correct. That would be my proposal.
All right. So, Charlie, one more thing I wanted to mention is that you do know and you have agreed that you have violated the contract and you have violated some terms of the contract, such as late payment of fees, and second is the free and day pizza which was being sold unauthorized. So, we would actually first want to check what your free and day pizza contains, and we would like to be assured that it is actually in terms with our standards of Pizza Rama, and that we can agree to let you sell it ahead. But for that, you would also need to make it available for all the other outlets. Now, coming to the point, we usually impose a penalty for breaching the terms of the contracts. And there are 2 breaches here: the sale of Pizza Ram, or the sale of free and day pizza, and plus the late payment of the fees. I believe my counsel would like to give you the numbers for the same, but this is all information I have on me.
Certainly, Erica. So as Erica mentioned, we usually charge penalty, and the penalty was somewhere around 1 lakh, which Erica and I discussed. But considering the status and knowing your position, Erica and I have decided to reduce the payment to 50,000, and the penalty which we are asking is for 50,000. And coming to the second point, Charlie, we need a written assurance from you that in future there won't be any violations. As you know, like, we do believe we have to make sure the standards are same for every outlet. And also, as Erica pointed out, we need your recipe in writing so that we can check the standards of and confirm whether if it's up to our standards or not. If that is something which is okay with you.
I'll jump in here. I feel as though we are in sort of a question and answer period instead of a discussion. I would like to steer the conversation to be more of a conversation and not a question and answer of my client. However, I will jump in again and say that this contract, we have seen thousands worldwide of contracts frustrated due to force majeure of the pandemic. I did want to say that on top of this franchise fee, we also must pay a part of our profit to Pizza Rama, which we do not dispute, but that just is another factor where Pizza Rama's success is part of Charlie's success. So we must get on an even playing field, that it's not just Charlie's mistake where the marketing failed. Charlie felt as though she needed to increase profits, and as she did that, it also increased the money going back to Pizza Rama. So if we can avoid the contractual fee, then I think we can get on a much more collaborative approach.
Absolutely.
Charlie?
And just as I saw that the time is about to elapse, I want to make sure that we are able to get to the most important points. So if possible, I would like to pitch a full rounded idea of how we are able to go forward. So that being said, I am more than happy to give you all of the details about the Freedom Day Pizza going ahead. I would be more than happy to work with your company, to work with your marketing team, to give them all information needed to make that a success, 100%. That that being said, I do think that, as my counsel stated, it would be reasonable to waive the fees given the certain circumstance. And I certainly can commit that as long as we are able to remediate and renegotiate and set out a schedule for communication to ensure that, irregardless of the circumstance, communication is a constant, then I absolutely can commit to the fact that there will be no violations going forward of any new contracts that are made.
Yes, Charlie, you can, if I may just interrupt. Yes, Charlie, you can be absolutely ensured that we will not keep any communication gap and we will not make you feel neglected going forward. And as for waiving of the payment fees, waiving of the violation fees, we might be able to do that, but then we would need a little more upfront payment from you at this moment, considering that we haven't received timely payments in the last 12 months and we do need some amount of capital to keep our business ongoing too as well. So if we could then increase the upfront payment and then perhaps reduce the number of months which going ahead where you would be paying 0.5 lakhs as the payment.
Absolutely. So I have seen that the session has ended, so I will quickly answer your question and go right into conclusions for the mediators. What I would like to say is I feel that we have established trust here. So I will come out and just say that financially, the absolute most that I can pay upfront right now without being completely in debt within my franchise would be 4.5. And if I have to pay, or if you're wishing for me to pay more than that, then we would have to renegotiate the amount per month going forward. So if you are comfortable with 4.5 upfront and waiving the fees from there, then that would be much appreciated. But I think that where we are at today, having the agreement on wanting to go forward with marketing, and it sounds very much like you would be happy for me to continue with the franchise, I think that it would be a really good idea for us to take this information and come up with a plan coming back to mediation. I just wanted to quickly pass to my counsel and see if there's absolutely anything left to say before we conclude.
No, that is, that's completely okay on my end, if that's okay with you, Charlie. But I do think our time's ended, so we may have to push this to another mediation just to finalize the details.
Sorry to interrupt,
if you would want
the
to add
time is
anything to this.
ended. The session is over, the time has come to an end. So I call the judges to give out their remarks. And if judges prefer joint discussion without the participants, you can please say that. We'll move the clients and counsel mediators to the breakout room. Judges prefer. Thank you.
So is this our time to comment on the mediation?
Yes.
Okay, so would you like to go first?
Yeah. I think as far as this session is concerned, there are certain progress that was made, and parties have stuck to their agendas and all. There are certain slight comment that I wanted to make, that mediators should have been a little more proactive to break the conversations between the parties. Some conversations have gone little more, because of which there could not be, some time could have been spared. Otherwise, everything was good. In terms of cooperation, since it's an online section, I think there is some difficulty there with the consultation with the other mediators and all, but overall, I think it's a good beginning. I feel satisfied with the fact that everybody has contributed to the session, and we came close to, I believe we came close to some solutions. And if we had like few more minutes, we would have actually got to, I appreciate, I think that the team from the franchisee has put in a lot of effort in terms of what the solutions they've provided. While accepting the clients, the franchise also has actually cooperated in that sense. It went smooth. So there was a lot of solutions that I found, and in terms of session, everybody was confident. The speaking skills were great. There was no lack in terms of understanding the situation and also presenting their cases. That's all I had to comment on.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for their participation. My co-judge, session supervisor, and the contestants. I thought you all were outstanding, very, very well prepared. So well done. You all came across as professional. I felt like I was in a real mediation. So turning to some more specifics, I thought the opening statements from the mediators were quite good. I thought you hit all of the points. Confidentiality, it's voluntary, admissions can't be used against you and so forth. So very, very good. One of the points, though, I'd like to kind of touch on was the agenda. I know at various points during the mediation and the negotiations that counsel and the parties, or the party for Charlie, requested a couple of times, could we clarify the agenda? So from my perspective, what I would have liked to have seen would have been a written agenda. And you could have done that either in the chat box, which is very easy, or the whiteboard if you have a little bit more facility or expertise with Zoom. I think that would have been very, very helpful. And I think that the hint or the request should have triggered that. Again, though, I don't think that detracts significantly from the excellent performance. I thought the mediators expressed neutrality very well, and they maintained it throughout the session. I thought the mediators worked well together, as did counsel and clients for both sides. Go through my notes here, see if there's anything else. Also, too, I would have liked to have seen something in writing regarding proposals. I think there were a couple of proposals floated, but it wasn't so clear to me what they were and who made them, and whether any progress had been made on the proposed terms. And so something in writing, I think, would have been a good mechanism by which to keep the parties and counsel on track, and the mediation, so you can see what's happening, if you've accomplished this or if you haven't. I think that would have helped you in your time management. So Charlie and counsel, I thought you guys did a great job. I thought you did a good job at the very end dealing with the time management issue. I think as is frequent in these sessions and negotiations, the time tends to get away from all of us. So good job there. In the sessions going forward, definitely keep time and definitely pay attention to it very closely. And definitely try to move the pace along. I thought you all did that very well. You didn't get bogged down in your opening statement. I think I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more, a clearer expression of your interests, needs, and desires in your opening. That also, too, would give you a good guidepost going forward. Same thing, too, for Pizza Rama, client and counsel. I thought you all worked well together. But again, as I said, I think it would have been helpful to have these things in writing, agenda and proposal. Communication was good. I thought you all expressed yourselves very, very clearly and in a very professional manner. I think you dealt with the thorny issues appropriately. You were hard on the problem, easy on the persons. I liked when counsel for Charlie spoke up. When I heard the insertion of the $50,000 penalty, that really kind of rubbed me. But again, I'm so to be a neutral, so I had to step back for a second. But I thought you stepped in right at the right moment and kind of in a very polite but professional way said no. And I think I would have said no too, especially given the pandemic, what's been happening. This is supposed to be collaborative. It's supposed to be empathy, understanding. The whole world's gone through this. So we can't close our eyes and pretend like it didn't happen. And so there'll be future disputes. And so that's, I think, an important observation and a point going forward. So good. I think you had a good beginning and a good ending. And I think you all are going to do quite well in the subsequent rounds and in your careers as mediators, negotiators, or lawyers. So kudos to all of you, and thanks again.